That story alone is something to be like,
Right,
damn,
right,
bro.
man. I was just like, who does this? How can this be possible?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the DP Podcast. On this episode, it's a continuation from part 1 with Trey Balfour, which is episode 10 if you want to go back and listen to it, which is really great. But Trey Balfour is a musician that played with multiple big-name artists such as Michael Bolton, Gladys Knight, just to name a few. But we continue off where we left off in his story and his musical journey. And we also talk about resources that you have coming from a small town to a big city when it comes to your musical influences. We talk about different things that musicians like when interacting with each other when they're performing live or outside of that setting, and just more gig stories and what goes down and all of that. But, I don't want to waste any more time because this guest is great. But anyways, enjoy the podcast with Mr. Trey Balfour. Hello and welcome to the DP Podcast, double penetrating your skull through both ears. With me today,
I love that. I love that.
With me today is a very, very special guest. This guest has been around the world with multiple artists, from Michael Bolton to Gladys Knight to Color Me Badd, you name it, you got it. This dude, he's been a big influence on myself, whether he knows it or not, other musicians that I love. This dude knows the ins and outs of the business because he's been in and out of it.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend and yours, Trey Balfour. What's good, bruh?
Okay, stop, y'all. Stop. Who let those
No big
crazy
deal.
people in? What's up, DP?
No big deal, bruh.
Back at it.
Back at it again.
Right? Round 2.
Yeah, round 2. And you know what? Where we left off, where did we leave off with the last podcast? Because it was talking about Color Me Badd, talking about getting into Michael Bolton, starting that adventure with Michael Bolton. You just got into the band. You were networking through jams. You met people.
Yeah.
You got done with Color Me Badd. Now you're like, hey, this humbled me. I realized that I'm not going to be getting a gig just because I played with a famous band. I need to go out there and hustle. Hustle is the name of the game when it comes to musicians.
Yeah. It's who you know and who knows you.
Amen.
That's
so
it.
let's start from Michael Bolton, and if you want to fill in any gaps, you let me know, man.
All right. Well, so I would say the most humbling experience was coming from. Let's back up from the Michael Bolton. In between Color Me Badd and Michael Bolton, there was one of my homeboys from Oklahoma City, Romeo Brunet. Got to give a shout out to him. From Oklahoma City. He was the guitarist in this R&B group called Troop. All right. It was produced by Chucky Booker. And he had called me to sub for the percussionist. And I'm like, okay, cool. So now the band was called Identity Crisis. And it was a cool band. They were signed at Taboo Records. And it was like you had a mulatto on saxophone and keys. You had a cat from Mexico City on keys as well. You had a Hispanic drummer, Mexican drummer. You had a brother, Romeo, on guitar. It was another brother lead singing. And, just very eclectic group of individuals. Identity Crisis, all right?
Right.
And they were playing R&B and Latin. Okay, well, now remember, come from Oklahoma City, man, there wasn't no Latin stuff. Like I said, it was 3 types: R&B, rock, and country, and some jazz, and blues, obviously. Okay, so I get mailed the tapes to shed to, and this is the time where, you had to really listen to the material and show up and play your part.
Right.
And man, remember, I'm the cat, man, I'm coming off the road with Color Me Badd. I got this. Man, go to rehearsal. Now it comes time, they start doing salsa. And you got these Latin breaks.
And that's only one rhythm.
Man, so I just blow by it. I don't have to do that.
Damn, this guy.
Right.
You're like, I got it far. I got this far.
Right. I'll play the songs. I ain't got to do that. Man. Now, like I said, that's part of the percussionist world. Those Latin breaks, on timbales, the loudest instrument on. So, yeah, man, the loudest instrument on stage, those timbales. And I'm seeing members just leave just to take a break. And the drummer's like, yeah, man, so, yeah, obviously you didn't listen to the recording or, and all right. And it took me 30 minutes to get this lick, and he had to break it down. And it was just like, I felt so
Worthless
and stupid. And it's so humbled. And I thought, this won't ever happen again. That's when I grew up, put the ego in check, and was like, you know what? It's about the music now. It's about being professional. And that's when my career took off after that.
What do you mean by that? Because, because as a musician, I understand what you mean. Like, this is what opened the doors. Yeah. This is what helped you grow as a musician. But for other people, maybe they don't understand what you mean by that.
Internally, I was like, I looked at myself and I'm like, I'm not as good as I think that I am. Once I realized my weakness, my vulnerability, how what matters is not me, it's about the music. Because in that song, for that show, that Latin break was a part of that song, was a part of that show.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that's something we touched on a little bit, or at least I talked about a little bit on the last episode, was serving the music.
Absolutely.
It's not you. It's this whole account. It's a language.
It's a bigger picture, man. DP, it's a bigger picture. And that's when I started looking at my craft and respecting it more. And it's like, okay, let me learn the technique. Let me learn everything I can to where they're going to call me because I put the time in. I know the proper technique. I know what to do. And like I said, in Oklahoma, I was shedding to everything but Latin music because there was no Latin music in Oklahoma at that time. At least not that I knew of.
Just to pause on that real quick, I've talked to other musicians, don't want to put any names because I'll probably talk to them in future podcasts, hope to have them on. But, a lot of people I've talked to that have grown up in smaller cities like Lancaster, my hometown of Bakersfield,
right.
They have, there's a very, 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 Oklahoma City, there's a very limited amount of music you can get, and you need people to show you.
Yes,
but I see, like, for example, a friend, Joel, for example, because both of us have performed with this musician. He's an amazing keyboard player.
Right.
He's in Blacktop. He's an amazing keyboardist. But I was talking to him earlier, and something he was talking about was like, he always was just curious to look, and I'm like, most people aren't like that, as humble as he is about it and doesn't brag about it.
Right.
For me, it was like I was hanging out with other people that said, hey, besides Metallica, there's this band called Rush. There's this band called this. There's this band called that. And I'm like, oh, okay, now let me listen to that. And let me listen to who influenced these bands or bands that were influenced by them, versus I have zero ground to build from. And then I need to grow from that.
Right.
Which is someone like Joel, in my opinion, he grew from that.
Yeah.
You know, which is remarkable. But for most people, you know, you need someone to show you that.
Yeah, right. And I didn't have that. You know, it's like I tell my private students, and you know, and I just let them know, I wish I had me teaching me, you know, like I'm teaching you now. I wish
Right.
because it was, you know, there was no internet. You know, there was no Instagram. There was no fake. There, you know,
Instructional video.
barely. It was
Like,
getting.
what
into
was it?
that.
Hal Leonard? That's all you had back then.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? And what I got as far as hand percussion, yeah, it was just like it was barely the instructional video. Barely. You know what I mean? So it's like you really had to like listen. You couldn't see what they were doing, but you could hear. So my thing was I was
Which is
mimicking
good.
what I heard.
But that's good because, you know, for example, when I was going to music school, I was playing with musicians that we were playing like progressive metal, for example, where
Okay.
you have 15, 16, some crazy time signatures.
Yeah,
And, you know,
right.
I would say, man, how do you play it? I just sing it.
Yeah.
And then that really helped me, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
If you can say it, play it.
exactly. But anyway, sorry, just a little side note
Yeah.
to help people kind of understand how musicians process things.
Right. So, you know, with being in that band and doing that gig and hitting the Grand Slam when we were in concert, you know, even the drummer, you know, was like, yeah, man, yeah, you nailed that. I'm like, thank you. And I was really intimidated. And mind you, the drummer, Danny, had just left Gladys's chair. So he was in identity crisis. And right now, and Danny Bejarano, man, love you, man. He really, and I tell him to this day, he's the guy. He made me who I was, to where I had to start getting on my craft.
He was that big of an influence, or just like the kick in the butt that you needed?
He was the kick in the butt that
Okay.
I needed.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, I feel that.
And Danny, man, he's Kenny G's drummer now.
Shit. Yeah. Yo, you playing with Kenny G? That's a good paycheck, bro.
You know what
not
I'm
gonna
saying?
complain.
You know,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
those cats, man. You know, I mean,
Yeah, well,
the
okay.
rhythm section, those are my guys.
Dennis Chambers plays for Santana.
See?
And for those who don't know, Dennis Chambers is, you know,
Yeah.
the top of the crop. You
He's
know?
up there, man. Yeah. Come on, man.
I don't think he's up there. He is
Right.
there.
You know, well, you know, he's okay if he into that type of stuff.
This guy over here. Don't listen to him.
If you're into that, you know, laying it down and just yeah, you know, he's all right.
Talk to Tony Royce Jr. See what he says.
Oh, you know, those guys, you know, they've got some gigs, I guess.
Couple of them.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're bringing home the
Who
bacon.
cares about Jay-Z? Anyways.
Who?
Yeah, right? Jay what?
No, man, those guys, man, they're, you know, I've never met Tony, seen him. You know, everyone sees everyone at the NAMM show. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I respect those guys. And Dennis, okay, quick Dennis Chambers story. Parliament's coming through in Oklahoma City, and he's playing drums with Parliament.
Parliament, oh.
Yeah, George Clinton, Parliament.
Yeah,
he was a
yeah.
drummer. And I noticed timbales to his hi-hat side. And I'm thinking, okay, that's odd. I've never seen this before. You know, and I'm
Especially
like,
for Dennis.
bro. So I'm like, okay, what is it gonna do with those? You know, he's playing the groove, and he starts soloing, and he's still kicking 2 and 4, but his left hand is doing the timbale solo, and it's like it's Tito Puente. Like I hear 2 hands on the timbales, but it's one, and I'm thinking, oh my God. I would just, but you know, he's okay. You know,
Nah. That story alone is something to be like,
right,
damn, bro.
right, man. I'm just like, who does this? How can this be possible? So then thinking, okay, the brain can go off into the independent state, start doing things.
Because you know everything else so well.
Yeah,
2 and 4 for a drummer, that's the basics, bro. That's 101.
yeah. But it's something about that base. Because I'm a 2 and 4 drummer, I am, and my philosophy on that is, even when I teach, I like, what I say is, life through drumming, drumming through life. And I apply that to that. So it's like, no matter what in this world, it's two things. You have left and right. You have up and down.
Yeah.
You have good and evil.
Yeah.
You have God, you have Satan. You have black, you have white. Of course, you have other colors. You have, I don't know, open, close.
Mm-hmm.
And us as humans, that's natural. So
but we wanted that in between.
We want that in between. Okay, so yeah, we have our colors. Okay, but the basis, you have that 2 and that 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the when we dance, if we sway left and right, we move, we bob up, down. So as a drummer, my thing is thanking for the music. Okay.
I hope the people listening can already feel it.
You know what I mean? And that's from the drum chair. That's where I come from, making it feel good. And I learned that from Lan Richards. When I was out with Bolton, Lan is probably one of the most underrated drummers in L.A. And he's played from like Ray Charles to Stevie Nicks to,
Michael Bolton.
Yeah, Michael Bolton to Bobby Caldwell. And his feel just, he'd tell me, Trey Dog, hey man, you got to make it feel good, And
what did Duke Ellington say? It don't mean a thing
if it ain't got that swing.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So, working next to Lan, 7 years, I'm getting a free drum lesson. Just, this is how, he's interpreting the music. This is how his feel. And it's like...
Can I just pause this real quick?
Please.
Sorry, because you're in this deep, but you know what? I just wanted to say, how admirable it is that you were even humble enough to take that advice, because so many people would say, fuck you, what do you know?
Oh, man, no, I'm still trying. I'm on this quest of still trying to learn.
And that's what I love, with any age musician. It's like, Dave Pruitt, who we both know.
Yeah.
Don't want to throw his name in there.
He's okay.
He's an amazing guitarist.
Yeah.
As a guitarist, that dude can play.
Man. If you guys don't know, he's the guitarist for Blacktop.
And he's played for...
Man, okay, Dave, he was a session musician for Motown when Motown made that exodus from Detroit, the D out to L.A. He was with that group, and he's played with the Emotions and...
Temptations?
Yeah, probably.
I think he has, because when I hear him play those Temptation lines, they sound exact.
If he, I don't think he played for the Temptations, but he knew those guys. It was Motown.
Right.
So,
right.
Dave, man, that's my brother, man, and it's like, he's got that old school, but see, and what I love about Dave, he'll listen to some of these young cats, and he's like, oh man, I got to go learn that.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is, he may be an older gentleman, but he is still just as eager as someone who's 15, just picking up instruments to learn
he's a
the
little
new
kid. He's a little kid.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, that's something that I think most people don't understand. It's like, I just work a 9 to 5. I do my job. I know what I'm supposed to do. But it's like, as a musician, it's like, you're always trying to grow and be better than who you were yesterday.
Yes. And even, and like you said, the most basic thing, that 2 and 4, but it's something about
You need it.
The simplicity. I am trying to make that 2 and 4 the best 2 and 4 of life.
Yeah, because that's where the beat is, bro. If you play that on 1 and 3, we're gonna be real angry. So you need that on 2 and 4. We need to make it feel it good. So when we solo in, we ain't looking at you really angry.
Right. And okay,
because we want to feel comfortable when we play. And the drummer is basically the first step to that.
Yes,
to that comfortability.
And I'm gonna tell you something about soloing. I hate taking solos.
I know.
Unless I have something supporting me, because
like a bass or a keyboard, or just something rhythmically.
No, musically, because I've never been, that guy that is going to get out there and shred and I'm not that type of player. I'm a team player. I'm a conversationalist,
and that's a huge issue when it comes to social media. Is it rewards more people who are good at playing by themselves, because I've seen some cats that are really, really great, phenomenal players, and I'm not taking anything away from them, but I've seen them at jams, and I'm like, this is not who I saw on Instagram.
Right. All right. So check this out. I'm doing this gig, and I was playing percussion, and I got turned on to Pancho Sanchez, right? This was 20 years ago, right? And I'm listening to him, his material. I'm like, this cat is killing it. And I'm kind of almost doing the same thing. Trust me, I'm no Pancho Sanchez. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I'm approaching it the same way. Why is it I sound like crap? And listening to him, in my stereo, going to my gig, for inspiration, why is it he sounds amazing? And the bassist that I used to work with, Eric Ajay, he's like, well, what is it you're trying, what do you hear when you hear him? Tell me what you hear. And I said, well, I hear the band. I hear everything still going. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's playing through the changes. He's soloing through the changes. And I'm like, what does that mean? What are you talking about?
Right, as a percussionist, because those who are listening, when you're listening to drums or percussion, you're not thinking about the actual notes, A, B, C, B flat, whatever it may be.
Right.
Unless you're the drummer from Rush, Neil Peart, who tunes his drums to the song.
Exactly.
And that's a lot of people don't think is, look, the drums, when you hit it, it makes a sound, and that sound is tuned to a note.
Okay, so with that, when he told me that, he said, just tell the band leader you want to play through the changes. He'll know what you're talking about. And I'm like, okay. So sure enough, I tell the band leader, I want to play through the changes. He says, okay. When I did that, doors opened up, because now I had stuff to draw from. I could communicate.
Now, as someone who doesn't play percussion, what does that mean? Playing through the changes.
So for example,
I understand what it means as a guitar player.
Right.
Okay. I don't want to explain it to other people. Let me know.
Let me break it down in layman's terms. So let's just say, for example, if the guitarist, or let's just say a keyboardist, he's getting ready to solo, okay, and everybody drops out. And he's just out there.
And dropping out means not playing.
Not playing.
Only the keyboardist.
Only the keyboardist. How bizarre is that going to sound? That's going to sound crazy. Well, musicians that aren't drummers or percussionists, and even bassists, they do that for drummers. And drum solo, yeah, everyone stops. Everyone stops, and then the drummer goes off, does his thing. Okay, look at me, yeah, blah, 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 okay, look at me. Okay, or percussion solo. Everyone stops, all right, and it's just the drummer and the percussion, and the percussionist goes off. Okay, it's the bass solo, and it's just the drummer and the bass player just plays. The keyboardist drops off, the guitarist drops off. They quit, but if it's the keyboard soloing, the guitars, the drums, everyone is still playing. So you've got your A section,
To an extent, sometimes you might have something,
right.
you know.
Yeah, lay out, but you're gonna play through, your 8 bar, that chorus, or your A
16,
section,
whatever.
16, whatever, and you're gonna go through those changes, and you're playing those changes. So the changes are the different sections of the song. You're okay. So I decided, that's what I want to do. When I found out that's what it was. That's the only time I like taking a solo, because now it's like I'm that keyboardist. I can express myself, from a creative aspect, because now I have that support from the band. Like I've
Not only that, you have the foundation of the song.
Exactly.
You have to give you a roadmap as to where those notes should go,
Exactly.
and how that melody reacts to those notes, or if you even want to follow with the melody.
Exactly. Or if you want to follow the time structure. You know what I mean?
Right. Maybe you want to play like a little bit more swing, or I don't know. Maybe you want to play in 7. I don't know.
Right. Quarter note triplets as opposed to eighth note triplets or whatever. But that's how I love to solo. I love soloing like that.
When you solo, it sounds to me like you want to serve the music because, for example, back in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, when you recorded music, you only had, let's say, 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So you would play the melody, then a solo,
Yep.
and then end with a melody. And usually the solo had to deal with incorporating the melody because it obviously followed the chord changes. It obviously followed
See
everything.
what I'm saying?
So to me, what you're doing is similar to that, but just more in a
Yes.
percussive.
Exactly. That's the school I come from.
Right.
I don't come from the school of Instagram, look at me shred. No, I'm not that guy because, like I said, I grew up listening to bands. I'm
Yeah.
a band guy.
But you know what's something that's interesting when it comes to that Instagram thing, what I noticed when it comes to black culture? Because something a lot of people don't understand is there's a big difference, in my opinion, between white culture in music and black culture. And not to delve too deep, but when it comes to social media and stuff, in black culture, it's become a thing where show but don't tell. It's like you can do a lot, but don't show it except for the right opportune moments. Versus in white culture, it's become more of like back in the 80s where it's like, let me show you everything I've got.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've noticed when it
Okay.
comes to social media. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. So that's musically where I come from and my approach to it. Everything that I do, it's all about the song. It's not about me, and it never has. I don't think it's never been about me.
Can I add something else? Because of what
Absolutely.
you were saying, just because of the white and black culture, something I've noticed for myself when Eddie Van Halen and Yngwie Malmsteen, if check him out, he's an amazing guitarist. Every note he plays sounds like his last note. But anyways, it sounded like you either sound like Eddie Van Halen or you sound like Malmsteen in the 80s. There's
Okay.
you pick one school or the other when it came to white culture.
Right.
You got to sound like this guy or that guy.
Right.
But in black culture, especially when it came to church, it was, I don't give a fuck if you sound like Eddie Van Halen or Malmsteen. I want to hear what Trey Balfour or Daniel Pinto sound like. I don't want to hear, I already know what they sound like. I want to hear what you sound like.
Yeah,
And
your
if you
identity.
exactly. If you don't have that originality, that product, why the hell do I need you here? Because at the end of the day, you are a product. When you look at Head and Shoulders, it's like apple versus, orange.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I want the apple one because that one smells better. They may be the same product, but there's one thing different. Same with musicians. Maybe Trey and this other percussionist play the same, but you know what? Trey's sound fits this vibe more, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And wow, man, you're just taking me back.
Sorry, I'm putting this out because I feel this is super important.
No, it's
people
true.
don't talk about.
No, it's true because when I was in Oklahoma City before I came out, the one band that I happened to find, which was like, it was a all Latin band. They were playing in front of this pawn shop, and I just happened to sit in, and I was on congas, and a friend of mine lived about maybe three to 4 blocks away. He came over. He left his home because he heard the music, and he heard the congas, he heard the sound difference. He heard
The uniqueness.
whatever you want to call it.
Personality?
But, okay, he knew it was me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he came over, just to see if it was me, and it was, and he told me that.
You know, earlier today, or right before this podcast, you were showing me some music you had produced, and a mutual friend of ours, Josh, had played guitar on one of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, we both knew it was him.
Yeah, you're right. Why not even tell you?
You know?
Right? You're
like,
right.
I know how
You
he
know.
plays.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
how he
you know.
sounds.
Right.
We know that.
Yes.
And if it wasn't authentic to this person, we'd be like, yo, what the fuck you doing?
Right.
You know,
right,
it's not chill because, you know, it's you know, people have really, I feel, have really forgotten the originality when it comes to art in general. Because to me, it's like, hey man, there's like when I see someone play guitar, it's like, oh, why do you like that? He's just playing a lick. It's like this guy is like when I hear Jeff Beck, he's one of my favorite all time. You know, you look at my phone, he's my screensaver.
Yeah.
When I hear like I heard him at the Greek Theater, and he bent a note. And when I hear him bend a note, it lifted me out of the seat. I could feel it take, you know.
That's powerful.
That's power. And I'm like, if I legitimately feel bad for other people that can't feel that. It's like the same when someone sees like a movie that I think is bad, but they enjoy it. And it's like, I wish I could enjoy it.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I don't want to dislike it.
That's a great example. You nailed it. Yeah, I get it. And you know, and I think there are so many young players out there that, and you know, even me, because I'm always looking for, you know, I'm always looking for my sound. I still don't have my sound. You know, some people say that I do, but I'm just always trying to evolve.
And if you're not, you're doing something wrong.
Hello. Yeah.
You know, like I hear a guitar sound in my fucking head.
Yeah.
Constantly, and I'm trying to get that tone. And someone can say, that tone sounds amazing. I'm like, yeah, it does sound good, but it's not what I hear in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm still searching. Why do you think you have these guitar players that are like, they're on their 10th distortion or overdrive pedal?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I get it.
And, you know, there's people who have their signature pedal and aren't using it because they found something that sounds better because it sounds closer to what they hear in their head. Same with you. I'm sure you hear different heads, you know, different congas made by different people. You're like, yo, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. And when you hear, like, it's funny because I don't know how to put this in layman's terms for other people to have that same experience, you know? It's like when you find the perfect car, you're like, yo, this is me. I don't even know how to express it because that doesn't even justify it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I know. And I'm gonna tell you, man, with Blacktop, you know, with the group of guys, you know, in Blacktop, you've got J.D. Bolden, who produced Grover Washington on saxophone, who is just, man, he's another brother from another mother who just, he's on a whole nother planet, man. With he has his sax rig where he, you know, I don't even want to.
The alto sax rig?
Soprano.
Oh, soprano, sorry.
And he does some amazing stuff with his effects, all right? And you got Dave Pruitt on guitar, who's got his
dirty. I'm a guitar player, and I'll tell you, he's dirty. But yeah, he's worth watching.
I mean, just behind Denny's in the dumpster, just dirty nasty, right?
Dirt nasty.
And then you got Joel on keys.
He's cool.
Dirt, you know.
Don't give him any credit. Fuck that dude.
You know.
I'm just kidding. I love him for everybody listening.
I mean, just dirty. And then you've got, you know, Josh on bass. And
he's cute.
Yeah, if you're into that, he's okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm on drums, and you know, we were doing this concert, and one of the guys said, you know, Trey, man, you tell me about the band. And I had to humbly say, look, I'm the weakest one in the link because I'm just keeping time.
You know what? Just to be honest with you, if I were to say between you, just a trio.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. And I'm cool with that. I'm totally cool with that.
That's good too, because as a musician, you're cool with it. I'll say, just not trying to speak for you, but I'm saying If I was in your position, it's like, great, I can grow.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I know my part.
Mhm.
My part is to lay that foundation. It's those guys' job to do all the soloing to convey the melodic message.
But you got to make them feel good when they do it.
Exactly. They got to know where that one is. I got to move. I have to move them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, okay, I'm just as strong as they are. You know what I mean?
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
You know, I heard
and
this,
it all clicks.
I heard this back when I was in high school. So I don't know. You can ask me for the validity, but it was about like, you know, you can only have, like, if you have a trio, for example, you only have 2 instruments going crazy. You need somebody to knock you going crazy. Because everybody's going crazy. What the hell? It's just noise. You need somebody to just lay it down. Whether it's the bass player or the drummer, you know, whoever it may be.
Exactly. Man, and that's the thing. And those guys, you know, I know they appreciate me because even when we gig outside of Blacktop, they, you know, who's on drums? Okay, cool. You know what I mean? They already know. Okay, all right. It's going to be an easy gig. But you know, everyone knows each other. You know, this is what it is.
Yeah, it's not Joe Schmo.
Right, exactly. And having to fill somebody out and know, okay, why is this guy? And another thing, being able to play with dynamics.
Right.
It's a conversation.
Because most people only know how to play soft or loud.
Come on, man.
That's a fact. Like I heard that from one of my teachers, Carl Schroeder. You know,
Okay.
Pianist. You know, he said that about drummers. You know, he's like most of them only know how to play loud or soft.
Bro, and you know, JD has us playing at this gig where we really have to play soft. You know, and
Because the venue.
the venue, yeah, you know, but the intensity still has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's one thing that I really try to pride myself on. No matter what venue I'm in, I play to that venue. You dig?
Yeah.
And I play to the people. You know, because you know, a lot of guys don't get it. If you're playing in a restaurant and the drummer is back there just cranking, and the waitresses, the servers, can't hear what the order is, now
Right.
you're affecting business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%, man.
And you cannot do that. So you, as a drummer, you know, you have to learn, and this is going out to all the drummers, you have to understand that if you can't see them conversing in a normal fashion, well, right now, you know, if you're at the restaurant, you know, 3 feet apart or at least 2 feet.
Well, even that. Would you play as loud as you would third set than you would first set?
Nope.
Then why the hell are you playing so loud?
Come on now.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
It ain't rocket science.
Come on, man. Come on.
You know?
So, but fortunately, you know, that's why I'm able to still work. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what keeps you working. You know,
right.
That's what people have to understand. It's like, look, first of all, attitude. Nobody wants to be in a bus for 3+ 6 months with an
man.
asshole.
Yep.
You know, you got to be able to play the part. That's like the last thing, to be honest.
Exactly.
You got to know when to play.
And you got to remember, it's music, business.
Amen.
And business is the bigger word. You got to handle your business.
Right. No, I'm not arguing with that, man. And that's a lot of people miss, man.
Yeah.
But sorry, man. You know, it's just a little tangent. You know, going into that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to keep going on this tangent or you want to go back to Michael Bolton.
Let's go.
Okay, so going into
me?
this, when it comes to the tangent, is, you know, we got something that, you know, we talked about Josh, who was in the past podcast. He mentioned you as a big influence and stuff like that, and it's just, I want to hear your views when it came, because, you know, we can go back and talk about Michael Bolton, but I want to hear, okay, you did all this shit. People have heard the last episode. People have heard what you've done. You've played for Color Me Bad. You played for Michael Bolton. You played for Gladys Knight. You played for blah, blah, blah. You played for this and that.
Yeah.
You've gigged, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Now you have these stories. What do you have to show for it? You know what I mean? What is it? Because like you said, you got off a gig, you came back. Like I learned that too. I got off a gig. It's like, hey, there's nothing there for you. You got to go on to the next gig. What is it for music? What was it there for musicians before COVID? That's my question right now. And I also want to hear your opinion for what is in store for musicians today and the next.
Okay, so that's a very good question. And it's kind of like me continuously searching for, creating myself, evolving into something else. I'm the marching band director at Little Rock High School, and I'm the assistant band director of the program. And it's to the point where I don't know. And that's what's scary. Now, what I do know, what I do think. Okay.
Let's pause, because I understand where you're going at, because we're talking about now with COVID.
Right.
But let's talk about the music scene before COVID, just so people have an understanding what it was like before.
Oh man,
now to understand what it's like now. Because a lot of people think it's just like, oh, you gigging with Katy Perry, you got a mansion. When they don't understand, these guys are playing paycheck to paycheck.
No. Katy Perry has the mansion.
Exactly.
Katy Perry has the songwriting credits, the residual income. She has the publishing if she wrote it. The side,
which she probably didn't.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, guys. Most of these artists have not written their songs.
Unless you're Taylor Swift.
And even then.
Okay, so, or the Eagles. All right, so
there we go.
All right, so right there,
hey, they're all session musicians.
Right. You talk about old school. All right, so now, the musician, the side man, as we're called,
the hired gun.
The hired guns. Yeah, that was good in the 80s and 90s and
70s.
Okay, 70s.
60s. Maybe.
Well, I'm talking when I came on the scene.
Okay.
And when you had I forgot the term now. Where they would keep where the artists would have the musicians still paid when they weren't on the road, and I haven't heard
per diem.
No.
Retainer.
Thank you. See that
a retainer,
right?
Which is someone like, just to give people a perspective for what it is today, is like, let's say Jay-Z, his drummer is Tony Royster Jr.
Yeah.
So he wants Tony Royster Jr. on his gig all the time. So what he does is have him a retainer, which means he's pays him when he's not on the gig.
Right.
Which is not a normal occurrence in modern society, especially now with COVID. But pre-COVID, it was not normal.
It still wasn't happening.
Right. So let's go back to 80s.
Right. That's when they
retainer.
they were on retainers. Okay. Mm-hmm. And see, like I said, I haven't used that word in my vocabulary in 20 years.
Don't exist.
Yeah. So now, leading up to pre-COVID, cats were out there working. Cats were working. And in the big venues. But now let's just say COVID, and let's move ahead to post-COVID.
Okay, let's move ahead. No problem.
Okay.
But you don't want to talk a little bit about the scene and how it was already on a downhill slope? Well, in my opinion, because, for example...
Yes, it was on a downhill slope, and I think the reason why is because of technology.
Yeah. I see people... Because when you said I was making $7,500 a gig in the 80s, we still making that today. Yeah. For a gig, you feel me?
Yeah.
And like for example, Meghan Trainor, a lot
and that's
of people
$75,
right? USD,
right.
And
not 7,000.
No, and you have people like Megan Trainor, who's has that song all about that bass,
Yeah.
and I know that her. I mean, I don't know if this is public knowledge, probably isn't, but like her bass player quit and gave it to another dude. It's like, why? There's no money in it, and that's playing with. When he was playing with a big artist, and he said, you know what, it's not worth it to me. Why am I hustling all this when I'm not gonna be able to sustain a family?
Music business. Business is the bigger word. He had to handle his business in music.
Right.
You dig?
Right.
So with that, yeah, it was on a downhill when, here in the town where I reside in Palmdale, there I come off the road. I get hired to do this session. It's a country artist. I'm playing drums, and I'm getting paid good money here in town to do the CD. And I've got my laptop, and I want to hear what I've done on the road, which has been mixed by Steve Hodge out of Minneapolis. And okay, man, I'm playing it through his system in the studio, and the proprietor of the studio, who's also the engineer, he's looking at me and he's like, "It sounds great. The bass is rolled off. Yeah, man." He's like, and then the next breath he says, "It's guys like you that are going to run me out of business." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Guys with their laptops, just." And when he said that, I thought, you're right.
He wasn't wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's out of business. He's out when you can, and that stuff that I played him was done in a hotel room.
And what year was this?
This was 2008.
So if the technology was that good in 2008,
right?
How good is it today?
Well, you tell me. With a Mac computer.
Mac computer, iRig interface, doing a podcast.
Right. On 2 audio, got a shout out to, I'm using the Audio Technica series, the little shout out, but, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand. Look, it's become convenient for anyone to have a home recording studio. Hey, you buy a Mac? There's GarageBand.
It comes with it. Oh, anybody now can be guys, these are in quotes, air quotes, a beat maker. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's all about, me and the director, from Little Rock High School, Gary Gregg, we're up here talking about this last week about teaching the kids music via, Google Classroom. And Timberland, we're on YouTube, and Timberland comes on, and he's talking about his master class. Now, check this out. This is where this is right now. Timberland, great producer, doing his thing.
Justin Timberlake, for people who haven't heard, he's done so many.
Empire.
He's a huge Empire. He's done a huge amount of freaking production for people.
Right. So he's on there. It's a little ad talking about his master class. Okay, great. And he talks about how, he starts with the foundation, the drums, and then he'll, at the hi-hat, and then he'll try to emulate that sound on the keys, but he starts with his drums by the beatbox. But what startled me was he kept the hi-hat. He did that with his mouth. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, in the 80s, the drum machine came into the studios and took the drummer's job.
Right. Or key bass.
Okay. Now, Timberland said, and no disrespect to him. He said, you know what? I'm not even going to use a real hi-hat. I'm just going to.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God. The drummer's gone. Now the instrument is gone.
The drummer has been gone for a minute.
You see what I'm saying? Now the instrument, the
Thank
actual
God a
hi-
guitar can't be
Di-
as of now.
No, oh, really? Listen to Jay Lamont.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's already been a lot of guitar emulation.
Because one
Like
of his
Axe
songs,
Effects.
one of his songs I'm going to produce, it's just going to be all him. He's going to do the keyboards. He's going to do the guitar.
He's good at that too, man. He can really do guitar.
You know what I mean? But so it's like when I saw that, I thought, okay, this is really scary now. So now, okay, post COVID, when you've got guys like that doing that, there are no more big venues.
No more big venues, people. No more Staples Center. No more Madison Square Garden.
But now, what I think, now don't hold me to, please know that Trey Balfour said this, so we're coming here. To me, I think the new big venue is the small venue, your restaurants. You know?
Restaurants, bars.
Yes.
Bars that can serve food as of now.
Exactly. That's where musicians are going to have to go.
Yeah. And you know, I talked to one gentleman the other day who's not a musician, but we were just talking about, you know, hustle and stuff, and he was saying, you know, you can't be hustling for free. And I'm like, musicians have to play. Whether we're paid $1 million or $0,
Yeah.
we have to play.
We absolutely, it's us.
You know, and I've listened to, like, for example, a lot of comedians who are like, oh, I'm moving out of California, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why? Because you need to do comedy. Same with musicians. We need to do what we do. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Nothing can take that away from us, whether it's $0 or $100 or whatever it may be. And that's the sad truth, is we're still going to be here as much as we bitch and moan.
Because we're musicians. We're here. We're here. You know, we are. And, bro. But, post-COVID, that's where I think it's going to be. I really do, because even with me now, you know, I'm not doing the Boltons, you know, I'm not doing the Glass, not doing the Kashif, but I've got my band, you know, or our band Blacktop, and man, we were just, you know, I got to give a shout out to Cold Crush in Lancaster, you know, great venue, and it's a supper club, and when it opens up, that's going to be the spot. But they're not going to be able to pay the big money.
How do you see musicians nowadays who have big Instagram followings or who were playing for these big artists? Like, what are they going to do? What do you see the future for them? And when it comes to COVID, you know, and you're talking, because we're currently talking about the future of it, you know, what do you see the future of the industry? You know, because you have so many amazing musicians here in Los Angeles, or just in LA County in general, because Lancaster has also amazing musicians, you know, who've played, like Ethan Farmer, a lot of amazing
Antelope
guys.
Valley, man, Antelope Valley. We have our own scene out here. We do. We really do.
And it's just like, how many of those people are just going to be like, I'm out? You know, just like the guy I was telling you about with Meghan Trainor. He's just like, I'm out. Or how many people are going to say, I'm going to stay and just see it through because I love music. You know, it's really good. It's a really defining thing for a lot of people, because something I heard is whether you're working for a financial company or you're a musician like us, it's like the two words that we all need to get used to. We all need to get used to them. And I want everybody to listen to this, is pay cut.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And no, you hit the nail right on the head. It's
pay cut.
Yeah. No, you're right. And where do I see it going for musicians, those Instagram guys?
What do you think of that scene in general? Because I have, Josh, I don't, for example, we've talked a lot about this, and I know we've brought you up when it comes to this, and it's something you've told us is, it's like, hey, I've toured with all these people. I've done all these things. You know what I got out of it? All I got was stories.
Right. But, and you know what? More than stories, I have lasting friendships. You know, I mean, just the other day, you know, it's like it was Skylar Deal's birthday, and he was Bolton's bassist. He used to work with he also used to work with Billy Joel. You know,
nice.
It was his birthday the other day, and it was a thread that all of us, including Michael, we were all on this thread. You know, just showing Skylar love and clowning him, and you know, and some of these people aren't even with Michael, you know, but it's like we've got these long, loving, lasting friendships, you know, where there are people. This is my musical family.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
But-
I named my son after Skylar.
Yeah.
You-
And you know something I've heard, sorry to interrupt it. It's just like friends stop being friends when all you have is history.
Yeah.
But when you have that commonality of music, you know, whether, you know, I have friends in Greece, I have friends in Canada, I have friends
Yeah.
all over the world, and whether I see them today or in a couple of years,
Yeah.
it's still like it yesterday.
Man, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. So, you know, I was able to get more than just stories from it, you know, but, you know, along with stories, I've got fond memories. I've got these lasting relationships. And for a guy that, you know, post-COVID, fortunately, I still have all the support of my drum companies.
Yeah.
You dig?
Yeah, I did.
And I think the reason why is because I shifted to where I'm in education. Okay, so I'm able to be like a spokesperson
For the company.
for the company.
You're not the only one. There's plenty of other people, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I think a lot of guys are transitioning to.
Who's that
to
one cat?
education?
White dude, just to give him a shout out, drummer, did a lot of that education type stuff, like what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure he works for Remo, and you've probably taken pictures with him. I don't remember his name. I feel bad for not being able to mention him, actually. But he's a drummer.
Oh man,
There's so many of them.
Right.
White dude. And as soon as I said a white dude, I'm like, Jesus. Like,
right. I
narrows it down to all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know
I'm
who
sure
you-
once I show you him on Instagram, you'll be like, oh, that cat.
Yeah.
But anyways,
You know, and it's like, you know, with me, I'm back in school, working on my degree. I've got my preliminary teaching credential. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so now that's the next level, the next chapter in my life. But I'm still dealing with music. you
no
know?
matter what, you have to.
Yeah,
Like I said, we're going to perform live.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, you're still going to see Trey. You know, you're not going to see Trey, you know, at Staples. Ain't going to happen. But you will see Trey at Cold Crush or Barracoa or somewhere else or blah blah blah. You know what I mean? That the new venue.
Right.
You know,
Right.
social distancing and all that type of stuff.
Right.
'Cause that's where it's at. Because like you said, this is who we are. We're still going to have to play. You know, Trey's still going to have his studio coming over. And you know, artists are going to be coming in here recording and blah, 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 blah. I'm still going to be producing, all that type of stuff. But, you know, it's
just a different form of it.
it's evolved
Right.
to something else, and it's still going to, it evolves every day, bro. And we still don't know where, you know what I mean? Because it's like before, you know, from, you know, back when this all started, even from Mozart and Beethoven, when they were, you know,
At their prime.
at their prime, and they're playing, they're being commissioned to, you know, write this piece, and where, you know, from the musician's standpoint, you know, there was no radio, you know, so they would have to perform for these people in these settings where people would come, you know, go into these homes, and they're appreciated. Okay, so but then it evolves with, okay, now the phonograph, you know, oh, now you can, you know, oh, you can, they can record and you can hear them in your home. They don't have to be in your home. Okay, that's how it evolved, you know. Then it's like, oh,
iTunes and all that,
Right.
and so on and so forth.
It's-
It always evolves, and
it
we go
evolved,
with it.
and we go with it. We're not going to go back. We're not going back to, you know, horse and buggy. We're moving forward with Teslas.
Right.
and self-driving cars.
And then some.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So now, okay, as a music industry, it's going to evolve into something else. The thing is, we have.
Do you see it in
to
a
go-
positive?
I think everything is going to be in a positive. I really do.
I agree too, because I see this as, look, it's only going to grow.
Yeah. But the thing is, you have to grow with it. You have to have an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. You know.
Yeah, and that's the real question, right? Because how many people are going to say
Oh, I'm done. Yeah.
most?
Yeah. I can't do
'Cause
this. I can't do. Screw it. I
We
can't.
we talked on the phone yesterday, and something I said was like, most of the people that are gonna say are just people who are in it for it.
Yeah. Right.
Like, hey, I'm down to play for free. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Well, but see, the thing is, hopefully you have a day gig.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
but most
So-
people don't.
And that's the thing. So if
That's why there's a lot of people moving out.
but now here's the deal. COVID just ain't, it's not only in California. See,
It's the whole world.
exactly. So those people that are moving out, they're going to have,
Harder times.
and they're going to have to get a day gig. They're going to have to where playing for free. Yeah, I don't mind playing for free because okay, I've got an income. You know what I mean? And I just DP. I wish I had the answers. I wish
Nobody does.
no.
But you know what? What I can't say? Pressure makes diamonds.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That's all I can say.
It does.
And that's my perspective on it.
No, and it's the truth. It's
Whether I'm in it or not.
But you know what? We're all in it. We all, and even the people that want to leave, they're still
Or already
gonna-
left.
Yeah, that have already left. They're still in it. Because
Mm-hmm.
they took their axes with them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They did. They did. If they did because that's who they are, and I'm not faulting them. I'm not angry for them wanting to leave and having it. I was talking with our record label, the CEO, and he's like, "Why are you still in California? Why, Trey?" And he's in Florida. He's like, "Why are you still?" I'm like, "This is where I am. This is where everything is." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, he can't do anything because of the COVID situation.
Right.
And it stopped.
Florida shut down too.
Exactly.
And you know what? I did a podcast with a friend in Montreal, and we talked after the podcast, and she was telling me about, hey, everything's shut down. She had a residency, at a jazz club, the House of Jazz in Montreal.
Yeah.
Guess what? Ain't opening back up.
Yeah.
It's closed for good.
Yeah. I was gonna say close or good.
You know what I mean? And that's something I take into account because my dad has a restaurant. I look at his business and how it's just family, literally just family working there. And then in the kitchen, maybe you have some other people. But I'm like, okay, if they don't have money to pay employees, how do you expect them to pay the DJ, let alone a full band? You know what I mean? And people are just like, I'm working security right now, and people come like, oh, when's the movie theater open? And all I can say is when we don't have to wear these anymore because we won't have to social distance. You really expect them to have seats?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Like, are we taking this seriously or not? Is this just a charade? What is this?
Yeah.
It just seems like a cartoon to me sometimes.
Yeah, I know. No.
I'm like, are you guys? Excuse my French, but retarded.
Yeah.
You can't see me, but I'm being parentheses.
Right. Exactly. I get it, and I do want to back up to something in the first part of the podcast.
Sure.
About Sheila E. and meeting Ray, the bassist.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate. It's like all these great stories, right? Well, the bassist said he had a band. He was putting a band together back in Oakland, California, with his brother and cousin and some friends. And I said, okay, cool. Well, if you ever need percussion, just give me a call. I'd love to. He's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, about 6 months later, my best friend, Trouble, Lafayette, he says, hey, man, you remember Ray for Sheila E? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, I just saw him on BET on the video, and that band that he was talking about, they're out now. I'm like, cool. Well, that band was called Tony.
And you were taking them over. Damn.
And Ray was Raphael Wiggins, Raphael Sadiq.
Oh, okay. I was like, Raphael Wiggins.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I meant to tell you that earlier, but we went off.
No, it's all good, man. You know, this is how it goes, and this is stuff we had to touch on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Stuff.
So when Tony would come to town to Oklahoma City, I would go, and the club had a basketball.
Yeah.
Goal.
Like a basketball. Okay, just a hoop.
Yeah, the hoop, right? You know, with the wheels, you roll it in.
Oh, okay.
And that was on the rider because they were hooping back then. We were all hooping, and he and we would play basketball on the floor in the club. Oh, it was great, man.
Damn.
I mean, it was real cool,
was
man.
Was he as short as you? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, then it was a perfect game.
It was, but no, I can't remember. But it was, it was real cool, man. It was like just how everyone is just, intertwined somehow. Michael Bolton used to babysit Paul Abdul.
For real though, because the musician circle, as a lot of people may not know, is super small. It's so small.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows everybody. It's crazy how fast stories get. It sucks, and it's good and bad in a lot of ways.
And that's why you have to be cool to everybody.
Yeah.
You really do. You really have to, because you just don't know who someone else knows.
Or who they are. Amen.
You really do. So it's man. That's the story of my life, man.
Yeah, man. Well, we didn't get all the way through Michael Bolton stuff, but I think we hit on a lot of stuff, and we actually are just over an hour,
gig.
man.
Michael Bolton was a good gig. I saw the world, in one day. I had breakfast in Rome, lunch in Paris, dinner in New York.
Beautiful.
In one day.
That's nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's true.
No, I believe it.
And I'll tell you off mic how I did that. So I want your listeners to how is that possible? Trust me when I tell you, I had breakfast in Rome, lunch in Paris, and dinner in New York.
All right.
In one day.
Well, we got over an hour, but you want to tell just maybe one story for the listeners? Something cool before we go, just to end on a high note?
Oh, man.
If not, it's cool, man.
No. I would love to, but it's like, I've been blessed with all of my gigs from, now I'll tell you, from After Five. I've got to give a shout out to After Five. Those were my brothers. They're still in Oklahoma City. I talk to them, all the time. Walter, Maurice, Guitar Mo, David Carter. Those are my guys. They put me on the map in Oklahoma City. Dana Joe Cox, Just Drums, love you. My Tulsa connection, PPI, Billy Estes, Trouble. My Langston connection, Jay Lamont, Keenan Foster, Rick James, George Ward, Charles Jones, all those people back there, man. I love my Oklahoma musicians, Kevin Longway, my cousin Corsi, Deuce, moving out here, Color Me Bad, All for One. Oh my gosh, Bolton, that whole crew. That's family. Man, Kashif, Sandy Stein, Craig T. Cooper,
Gladys Knight.
Yeah, Gladys Knight. All those cats, man. Just beautiful people. Up until the high school where I'm at, Little Rock High School, and my band. Or not my band, but the band that I'm in.
Well, you were also touring while you were teaching, too.
Yeah, with Bolton, I was. And that was crazy.
Josh told me about that.
Yeah, I would come in. Man, dude, I'm like calling on Skype, and I'm telling the director, I'm like, put me on the phone, let me talk to them, clean this up, I can hear it, blah, 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 blah. I'm flying in, this day, I'll be home for like 2 weeks, let's get this going on. And what was really cool, I would come back and I would tell these kids, look, guys, the world, trust me when I tell you, the world is your playground. go out there and play in it. It's out there. And one of my students, man, you know, Allie, I love her. She graduated like from University of Utah. She was a drummer. You know, she graduated like magna cum laude, was the commencement speaker, came back and gave me her sash. Oh, tears. You know what I mean? And then she moves to New York. I hook her up with some people, and she calls me, and she's like, Trey, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. You know, Andy Garcia is sitting right across from me. Mm-hmm. You know, because the people that I hooked her up with, another singer who opened up for Bolton Kelly King, they befriended each other. You know, and while she was in
going
Brooklyn,
back to the musician circle.
Exactly. So, you know, and then, you know, meeting you, you know, showing mad love for you. You a dope cat.
Yeah.
You know, and just
thanks.
No, man, it's real. It's real. Everything is just this circle, and I just, you know, we just need to love each other.
Amen.
And you know, keep the music strong, keep our mask on, and you know, make
Keep
some
on
music.
living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
You want
on
to plug anything before we go? This is a new episode.
Do I want to plug anything? I want to plug. Oh yeah, like I said before, Blacktop, and that's BLAK _ music, Instagram. Follow us there, and yeah, man, that's it, bro.
Dope.
That's
Any
it.
shows coming up? Do you want to promote?
Any
shows?
Any shows? No, but there's Jay Lamont. Let me see. Yeah, no, there are no shows on the books. Not right now.
Welcome to COVID world.
Right.
For real.
Exact. No shows on the book, man.
Yeah,
None.
trust me, man. And if there is one, you won't know about it till it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
No, shout out to all my companies that support me. Peisty, you know, DW Hardware, PDP, you know, Remo, Vader, DW, all of that, man. It's just, I'm happy, man. I can't complain. You know, even with the COVID, I'm blessed, beautiful family, and you know, everything is good, man.
Well, man, I just want to thank you again for being on the podcast. You know, it's been a journey, man. Just hearing your perspective and on everything, man. Whether it's the past life or the current.
Right.
You know,
hey, man, it's my pleasure.
Man, I appreciate you, man, and I think this is a good place to stop, man. So, peace out, man. Take care, Trey.
All right, you too, bruh. Later.